We're going to be in a story, particularly Matthew chapter 16, where Jesus is constantly wanting to pull potential out of his disciples, constantly pulling potential out of his disciples, trying to get them to understand, kind of the way I felt with Chris, how much he had to offer God. And so we're in this story where literally he's pulling potential specifically out of Peter. Specifically out of Peter. So read with me right there in verse 13. It says, "When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, 'Who do people say the Son of Man is?' They replied, 'Well, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others, Jeremiah or one of the prophets.' But what about you?" You can see in this moment even, he's trying to teach us something. You could see him kind of pulling that potential out of all the disciples, but especially you'll see Peter. But he says, "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" And then Simon Peter answers. And I think it's interesting that Simon answers. And you could see all throughout the Gospels that Simon Peter kind of always is the one making the first step. And maybe it's because he's the leader of the group. I don't really know. But you see, Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter." Now, this would have been an incredible moment in Peter's life, because this would have been equivalent to when God turned Abram's name to Abraham. This would have been calling out his full potential by changing his name. This would have been an extremely big deal. And Peter means Petros in the Greek, which means the rock. And so he continues and he says, "And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." And then he continues, "I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven." And you might be thinking, well, what does that mean? Well, the kingdom of heaven, we taught this in our Isolated series. The kingdom of heaven is the will of God displayed on the earth. A great way of thinking about this is thinking kind of through the Lord's Prayer. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's the will of God displayed on the earth. And so when he gets the keys to the kingdom of heaven, he's literally getting the keys to unlocking the power of the Holy Spirit moving in and through the church, which is phenomenal, which is really, 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 really cool. So I wonder if even Peter recognizes what's going on at this point. So he continues again, "Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." It's this idea of power and authority, that I am going to build my church upon you, Peter, the rock, and crazy things are about to happen. I wonder if he realized the potential that he was about to experience. You see, if I want to ensure that my legacy is going to reflect my full potential, then that means I need to know that I have been gifted with talents and abilities that will either make my full potential come to life and build the kingdom of heaven, or it won't. It's really up to me in this moment. It's kind of like what we talked about last week when it came to our stuff, the stuff that we have. Our stuff has a lot of potential. Our lives have a lot of potential, but if we stifle it, or if we hoard it, or if we ignore it, then it won't. But when we allow it to be active, then it literally has the power to change the lives of people and unlock the miraculous in the people that are all around us.